the screen. Okay, that looks encouraging. Move this over here. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadi Damastu Mavit Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Here we go. First topic, of course, Yoga Sutras. We are in chapter 3 in our initial presentation. Verse 13. By this, the transformations of the essential nature, characteristics, and conditions of the elements and the senses are explained. Commentary. By this refers to the terse explanations in the previous 2 sutras on transformations within the mind of the meditator, indicating that they apply to all aspects of creation. All things are subject to change, the universal constant. In seeking to understand the nature of change, we can break it down into a thing's inherent nature, its condition or present qualities, old, new, big, small, alive, inert, and its movement through time. Each of these 3 can change independent of the others, and all of the transformations they imply are applicable not only to material objects, but as well to the senses by which they are known. And Gurudeva's quote. The material world is where we have our experiences, manufacture karma, and fulfill the desires and duties of life in a physical body. It is the Bhuloka that consciousness is limited. It is in the Bhuloka that consciousness is limited. That awareness of the other 2 worlds is not always remembered. It is the external plane made of gross matter, which is really just energy. Oh, sounds like physics, so matter and energy are the same. So Gurudev is saying the external plane is energy. The external plane is gross matter, which is really just a form of energy. Gurudeva calls it odic energy, which means it's magnetic and gross. Verse 14. The substratum persists, whether its characteristics are past, present, or in the future. In the sutra, substratum refers to dharmi, which in this context means the underlying entity that possesses characteristics. Dharmi remains identifiable even as its characteristics, dharmas, change. Here, dharma does not carry its more common meaning of duty or moral law, but instead refers to the characteristics or properties of an object that transform over time. As an example, a lump of gold may have been a ring in the past, a crown in the present, and a pendant in the future. In all instances and through all transformations, it remains gold. Dharmi, gold. And Gurudeva. All styles of music can be played on a harp, but no matter what kind of music is played, the harp remains the same. People can do all sorts of things to our nervous system and make patterns of tone and color appear. This does not hurt the nervous system. It, like the harp, remains the same. The same nervous system can be played by our superconscious or by our passions. We can experience beautiful knowledge from within, which is the outgrowth of good meditation abilities, or experience a mental argument with another person. All tones are played at different times through the same nervous system. So we're distinguishing between what is unchanged and what is changed. Sometimes we get them confused. Think that we're changing when what is us is really unchanged. Verse 15. Difference in sequence is the cause of difference in transformation. Commentary. Things change in sequence. A seed develops, sprouts, and matures into a plant. This progression over time is essential to all changes, whether of nature or of mind. Each stage is built on the last and gives rise to the next. Changes in any part of the natural sequence causes differences in the progression. For example, the growth of a mighty oak tree from acorn to sprout to sapling and mature tree can be altered at any point by changes in the sequence, such as squirrels, drought, lack of sunlight, poor soil, etc. By understanding the differences in sequence and the importance of sequence, the yogi begins to comprehend the nature of change. Of spiritual evolution, which Patanjali cryptically calls the transformations of body, mind, and consciousness. The yogi learns to follow the proven path, which will give the proven result. So that's an important point. We need to stay on the path, as Yoga Swami said, a train needs tracks to run upon. So if we try and run without tracks, we won't do very well. So we need to stay on the path. Gurudeva. We as the soul see out through the physical eyes. As we look through the physical eyes at the flower and meditate deeply upon the flower, we tune into the soul's vast well of knowing and begin to observe previously unknown facts about the flower. We see where it came from. We see how one little flower has enough memory locked up within its tiny seed to come up again and again in the very same way, which is kind of amazing. Rose does not forget and come up as a tulip, nor does a tulip forget and come up as a lily, nor does a lily forget and come up as a peach tree. There is enough memory resident in the genes of the seeds of each that they come up as the same species every season. As we observe this single law and pierce into the inner realms of the mind, we see the flower as large as a house, or as small as the point of a pin, because the eyes of the superconscious mind, the spiritual body, can magnify or diminish any object in order to study it and understand it. To know this, to experience this, is to develop willpower to transform oneself into the knower of what is to be known. Verse 16. Through samyama on the three transformations, knowledge of the past and future arises. Three transformations, parinamas, are defined in Yoga Sutra 3.13, which describes how all phenomena undergo shifts in qualities, dharma, temporal stages, avastha, and states of existence, laksana. As the yogi learns to identify the substratum of the object, dharmi, and then meditate on its characteristics, dharma, state, laksana, and temporal position, avastha, he naturally awakens the ability to see into the past and the future. This is just the first of such extraordinary powers of the metaphysically awakened mind. So important. Get some drawings there. So important are these siddhis that Patanjali dedicates fully 1/6 of the aphorisms to this magical and mystical side of yoga practice. Narratives of mystical phenomena beyond ordinary consciousness fill the textual coffers of India's spiritual traditions. Quantum physics hints at the remarkable world within, how time and distance are fluid, how dimensions and multiple realities are folded within one another, how things can be connected despite being great distances apart, how the simple act of observing a thing changes that thing, how the seemingly impossible is really not. You know, that's a very interesting idea to ponder. The simple
Rishi
act,
Badi Kupusami, can you please stay away from the screen? Thank you.
budding artist. So, the simple act of observing a thing changes that thing. Just watching something take place, it doesn't take place the same way it would have as if you hadn't watched it. How is that possible? It just shows how the distinction between what is mental and what is physical isn't really there. Modern physicists sound much like yogis as they discuss the power of consciousness to shape the universe. This is not so different from the sutras on siddhis. And Gurudeva's beautiful quote here. There are people with the ability to look back into past and ahead to the future accurately and in detail. That feat is understood clearly in the light of awareness traveling through the mind. The entire mind exists right now, past and future included. These psychically talented individuals have trained their awareness to flow into areas of the mind that are unavailable to the average person. They go into the mind itself to view these phenomena. Similarly, ESP, mind reading, and other mystical wonders are illumined by the knowledge that there is only one mind and all phases of it are open to the spiritually awakened person. Gurudeva says elsewhere to give more detail on this, that anything that will exist in the future, meaning any invention, exists right now within the mind. Nothing can exist in the future that's not there in the subtle areas of mind already. Something to ponder. Verse 17. Confusion arises from the mutual superimposition of word, meaning, and idea. Three things: word, meaning, idea. By performing samyama on the distinctions among these, knowledge of the sounds of all creatures arises. Isn't that interesting? Any sound a creature makes, someone can understand what that creature means. Commentary. In his search for the essence of the universe, the yogi is advised to not conflate an object with the concept of the object or the word describing the object. They are not the same and must be unpacked. Take a flower, for example. The word is flower. The object is the physical blossom. The idea is one's concept or understanding of flowerness. The yogi is taught to perform samyama on the triad of word, meaning, and idea, so he understands their differences and disabuses himself of the natural confusion that can arise among them. By learning to perform samyama of this nature, he awakens a new understanding and appreciation of sound and speech. If fully successful, he can understand the information contained in any sound, including the sounds produced by any creature. So that confusion between the actual object, the word, and the meaning of the word is what prevents us from this perception. You have to repeat certain affirmations for certain lengths of time, says Gurudeva, to produce a certain result. Every word and the meaning of each word, if you know the meaning, has a certain vibration. As a thought goes into motion, it permeates your nervous system and gives you a particular feeling. Just as your thoughts and your words can make your body feel a certain way, in the very same way, the spirit or God flowing through the mind can illumine and does illumine the mind and purify it. Verse 18. Through direct perception of samskaras, knowledge of previous births arises. So, samskara, remind us what Patanjali means by samskara in this context. We experience something, and that experience is stored in the subconscious mind, and that storage of the experience is a samskara. And of course, the experience and how we store the experience are not exactly the same. You have 10 people looking at an experience and they all store it. They're going to store it in different ways based upon the emotion they were experiencing or not experiencing. If it triggered previous memory that is a strong one or not. So the samskara is not exactly the experience. Hindu mysticism discusses at great length the enduring power of karma and samskaras, or impressions made by action or reaction. It is a fundamental insight into our humanness, taking into account past, present, and future actions. It is understood in yogic mysticism that these impressions persist. They are embedded in the deep chambers of the mind, and they survive our physical death to impact future births. So they don't go away. It's just that they're buried on purpose. I like to say many people are really bothered, at the end of their life by all the experiences they had in one life. Imagine if they could remember 20 past lives and the experience they had in those lives, then they'd be bothered by 21 lives. So that, of course, would not be good. So we get a fresh start. It's buried. Unless you go looking for it, you won't find it. The sutra notes that the yogi can access these Akashic memories, and when they are fully cognized, he can have access to memories of previous births. But like all siddhis, he is also advised not to dwell on this power to know the past. It is gone, and he evolves by living in the now. So that's an interesting point. I can see by looking at the next slide title, ignore your past lives, says Gurudev. He's going to say somewhat the same thing, but sometimes, generally it's a Westerner, meets me for a darshan session, and they're all excited about their past lives. They learned this and this and this about who they were in their past life, and they're very proud of who they were in their past life. So, of course, that's missing the point. Doesn't matter who we were in our past life. It's what we do in the present moment that counts. And sometimes grand concepts of who we were in our past life can be obstacles to doing the right thing in the present moment. So the idea is we are the sum total of everything we've done. So if we are our past lives, the person we are is the sum total of all past lives. So it's kind of no need to look into a specific past life. You are that in some way in the present. See what Gurudeva has to say. People wonder about their past lives, but it doesn't really matter who you were in your past lives. Sounds like I just said that. It is the cumulative creation of what you've done in the past, which is manifested in what you are in this life, that should concern you. Knowing how these things are going to manifest in the future is a forewarning that can improve the quality of the next life. Therefore, though possible, it is irrelevant to know what nationality, station in life, or occupation one was in the past. What is relevant is the knowledge of accumulated deeds of all the past lives, especially those that will manifest in this life. People who don't truly understand reincarnation fear death. Fear of the unknown is part of the human psyche. And Gurudeva says, to understand reincarnation, you have to understand and accept the existence of the astral body and have an intuitive knowledge of the soul. Then you understand that reincarnation is as natural as a child becoming a teenager and a teenager becoming a young adult. Reincarnation records are kept in the Sarasvara chakra of every individual. That's where they're stored. That's good to know. They are readable by inner plane helpers and by trained psychics. The Sarasvara chakra is in the Akasha. Every soul is packing his dossier right along with him. Okay, well, let's see if we can get rid of the lines. I'm going to stop share. Okay. Then we come in here and we say share. Look for Gurudeva. Okay, we got rid of the lines. That's good. Back to Shiva. Lesson 38. Who are our holy men and women? That's a crazy English problem. You have ARE and OUR together. Who are our holy men and women? Someone didn't plan very well when they created those words. How would you answer that question? Saivism has many holy men and women. All are great devotees of Shiva, Murugan, and Ganesha. We honor living holy ones on their birthday or Jayanti. Those who have left this earth, we revere on the day of their passing, or Mahasamadhi, their new birthday. Saints reflect the peace, humility, and purity of a devout life. So we're defining saints, sages, Satgurus. Saints reflect the peace, humility, and purity of a devout life. Sages, like Chilapaswami, are great souls who may outwardly appear ordinary. Satgurus are enlightened beings who guide others on the path. Holy men and women, married people, as well as gurus, sadhus, and swamis, have stood strong for Saivism at critical times throughout history. Many traveled widely and spread Saiva culture and knowledge to new areas. Some were solitary mystics meditating and performing yoga. Some wrote scriptures or composed beautiful songs to God that we sing today. Our lineage began over 2,000 years ago with Maharishi Nandinatha, yoga master from Kashmir. His disciple, Sundaranatha, later known as Rishi Tirumular, traveled by foot to South India to teach Saivism. Our many gurus followed from him. Other Saiva traditions include that of Matsyendranatha and his disciple Gorakshanatha, who expounded Hatha Yoga and spread Nada Saivism throughout central India and Nepal, up in the north there. The many women saints include the austere yogini Karakal Amayar and the beloved Saint Avayar, whose poems children study to learn religion and good conduct. Among the most famous Tamil Saivite saints are the Nalvars, who kept Saivism strong in Tamil Nadu 12 centuries ago. Thank you very much. Good to be back in person.